Hello everyone and welcome to Sunday Frog Radio for Sunday the 22nd of July 2018. I'm Froggy Frog 9000. Thanks for tuning in. This filmed on a Monday. Better late than never. What you're looking at there is some new GPUs. Two of them in SLI, which means tandem in GPU speak. GPU stands for... what does it stand for? CPU stands for Central Processing Unit, so GPU must stand for General Processing Unit, something like that. It's a 3D card, it's a graphics card, it's a really high-end space age alien level technology. When the UFO crashed in Roswell in 1950, when they pulled the cadaver of the alien out of the UFO in the farmlands there, I'm sure they found some GTX 1080 Ti's in that UFO, because this stuff is seriously space age. And I have two of them. I've been running, all my vids are run on a GTX 1080 up until now. So if you look at all of my vids, they're run on a GTX 1080. These two units are TIs, so they're essentially two 1080s spliced together. And so essentially you could say I've got four GTX 1080s, 4 times the power. I don't do things by halves. So anyways, sorry if it's a bit loud. I now have quite a few modules for DCS and for IL-2. You just saw a Tiger tank. Now you're looking at a SPAD 13. There's a Fokker DR1. There's a Focke-Wulf FW190A8, heavily armed for ground attack and for air attack, including rockets. I also have the Spitfire, the Mark 9 in DCS. And I've got the KV1S, S standing for sport model, no I'm kidding, S standing for speed. The S model of the KV1 was extra fast. It was a fast tank, and I've also got the F18, sorry, the F18 C for Charlie in DCS. And it sounds just like that thing at McDonald's that I can't figure. If you know how to turn off that siren or the low terrain warning, those auxiliary noises, let me know, because I haven't figured out how to turn them off. Sure, it's just a teething problem. So yeah, here's my GTX 1080 Ti's. These are I've been using my current rig, which is an Alienware Aurora R5, equipped with a NVIDIA GTX 1080 for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I've come to respect the product. The GTX 1080 has worked pretty well flawlessly. It's been a good consumer product. It hasn't really let me down. Sorry if this is jumping around a bit. This here is a P47 in DCS, and this is some upcoming projects, including the P47. There's a fighter bomber version of an Su-27. It's got 2 seats in tandem, and it's a bomber made out of an Su-27. But it can still fight as a fighter. There's the KV1S, and there's the FW190A8, and there's the DR1, the famous plane that the Red Baron flew, and there's the Tiger tank. So all of these modules, or whatever you'd call them, I've acquired them recently, and it's pretty exciting days. And there's another upcoming thing. I guess that's a SAM missile. There's a cruise missile. I think there was a Steven Seagal movie that featured that cruise missile prominently. Other improvements, there's a screenshot out of the IL-2 developer blog about some other improvements they've made. So generally speaking, for those of us that are interested in World War II and other era flight sims, it's pretty well happy days right now. There's a lot of cool stuff being released. Just look at that SPAD. And future projects as well. So yeah, I've been trying to figure out what the future holds for DCS. and I think they're fairly committed to progressing things. So there's the P47. I understand they're working on that now. And look at this, the Thunderbolt and ME262, in consideration of what to work on after the Thunderbolt and the ME262. A Thunderbolt is a P47. So they're working on the P47 and they're possibly working on an ME262 for DCS, which is right up my street. That's my kind of thinking. So I'm glad that they've mentioned that. That text was in the DCS weekend news blog on the DCS forum. This is one of my GTX 1080 Ti cases. I noticed that it looks like it's been dropped when I pulled it out of the plastic sleeve. Bit disconcerting. Don't think it's an issue though. The actual unit inside is protected very well by high density black foam. I think it's some kind of anti-static foam as well. Apparently static electricity is the bane of these electronics, and so they wrap them up in a special anti-static plastic film. I'm a bit concerned that I might not be able to run both of these TIs in tandem in SLI with the current power supply that I have in the Aurora R5. I've got the 850 watt power supply. I expect it's gonna run one TI, which it says on the box there requires something like 600 or 650 watts. And as I say, I've got 850, but can I run two of them on 850 watt power supply? When you're buying GPUs, they cost a lot. Each one of these units is about 1,200 Australian dollars, and they have 11 gigabytes each. By comparison, a GTX 1080 has 8 gigabytes of, I guess it's RAM memory. Yeah, you wanna eliminate unknowns and potential disasters. One of the grey areas there, and believe you me, I've researched it online, but it's pretty hard to get decent, clear data on the system requirements and that to run two TIs in SLI, even down to what bridge you need to put between them. Well, sorry if this terminology is a bit alien, but it's par for the course with these kind of space age video game technologies. You need a bridge when you run two of them. That's like a data bridge, a physical bridge that runs between the two units. Sadly, I can't use the 1080 that I've got in the Alienware currently with these two, and I can't also, for example, use a TI with just a 1080, so I can't use a 1080 plus a 1080 Ti bridged in SLI. One of the rules of SLI is the GPUs must be identical, hence why I've bought two of the same model. If I was to buy two of different models, they wouldn't be compatible in SLI. So that means that I'm going to have a surplus 1080, and the 1080 is still a cutting edge card. It's just that these ones are even more hardcore. So there it is. It looks great, doesn't it? There's a few different philosophies of video game rigs. One of them is build your own, and the other one is just buy one that a company has made. I've followed the latter philosophy. I've got an Alienware. It's now owned by Dell. We all know Dell. I think most of us know Alienware. A lot of people, it's very popular to build your own computer. The thing is though, there's so much possibility for it to go wrong. Just the fact that companies like Alienware that build gaming rigs, they're in it constantly, and any mistakes have been long ago ironed out. Whereas if you build your own rig, you might make those mistakes yourself. Just simple things like getting, I don't know, a less compatible or an incompatible component, or something that's going to bottleneck the data. With these GPUs, there's so many things to consider. One of them in particular is bottlenecking of data. you might have to overclock the CPU. I don't overclock my CPU. It's an i7 6700. Apparently, to run SLI TIs, you might want to look at overclocking the CPU. And that's another thing. The 6700 is not the latest i7. It's pretty good. I think it's got quad cores, but then I think you can get like 8 cores, and I think the popular one now is the i7 7700. So I could potentially upgrade to that, but I would only do it if I needed to. Like if I installed both of these TIs and I found that they didn't work, and I identified the reason they didn't work as maybe the CPU is not up to running these, or it's bottlenecking, or whatever the case may be. Maybe just get the black screen of death and the damn thing doesn't work at all. Whatever the reason, the rest of the rig might need upgrading, but I don't think it will. In choosing these TIs, I also looked at the gamut of other other NVIDIA cards on the market right now. There's a bunch of them. There's also the Titan XP, which is, it's hard to quantify what's better, but there's the Titan XP. I think one Titan XP is around about the same power as 2 GTX 1080 Ti's in SLI. However, the Titan XP is something like twice the price. I think it's about $2,500 in Australia. Obviously comparatively cheaper in United States or in pounds or whatever. Why did I? Oh, and by the way, I've also ordered a new hard drive, a new SSD. I think what was it, 500 gigabytes, because on my 2 existing drives I've got basically no space after a year and a half of intensive gaming and movie clip making. No space at all. Even I've been transferring my videos to my laptop to try and free up storage space. It's a real hassle. It's becoming a hassle. So I finally identified that I need more storage, and I've purchased a 500 gigabyte SSD. What brand is it? I think it's Intel. I think it's an Intel. Kingston seems like a very popular SSD. I've gone for Intel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Intel, which is, it's a known brand, and I think it'll be reliable. Something like a hard drive, you want it to be reliable. I've been using my Toshiba big screen TV for a long time now for video games, and it's okay and all, but as a mate of mine pointed out recently, monitor technology has come a long way. So video gaming is not just about the rig. It used to just be about the rig. The monitor was a secondary consideration. Now the monitor's a major consideration, because the technology of monitors has progressed so very far in recent years. For example, my big screen TV has a refresh rate of 50 Hertz. That's 50 refreshes of the image every second. Whereas the gaming monitor that I've just ordered, and that's in the post and it's on its way, very exciting, it's an IPS or IPL panel, whatever it's called. There's 2 types of gaming monitor panel. There's TN and there's IP something, IPS I think, or L. Anyways, its refresh rate is something crazy. It's something like 165 Hertz. So compare and contrast 50 Hertz on the Toshiba big screen TV, circa, 2005. Compare that with a 2018 Asus gaming monitor. It's a PQ270 or something, I don't know. I've been researching it for quite a while, and I researched it about a year ago, and I've just come back and pulled the trigger and purchased it. It's a great monitor. It cost me about $1,000. I think it's a great monitor from my research. It has some kind of a delay of 4 milliseconds, which is good. It's not a slow... It's designed for gaming, so it's not just a computer monitor. And yeah, the refresh rate is something like 165 Hertz. And for gaming you want at least 60 Hertz refresh rate. And I've got 165 Hertz refresh rate, I think. 144 hertz is the kind of gold standard these days for gaming monitors, and I've got 165 hertz. I'm pretty happy about that. It's also got NVIDIA G-Sync, so there's NVIDIA technology in the monitor, even though it's not an NVIDIA monitor. They don't make monitors, it's an ASUS monitor, but it has proprietary intellectual property in it that's from NVIDIA, which is called G-Sync. It has a G-Sync hardware and software in the ASUS monitor, so it refreshes at 165 hertz, up to 165 hertz, and the G-Sync locks the refresh rate of the monitor to the frame rate of the game. So if the game is producing, I don't know that much about it, I don't know if it'll lock it to variable frame rates or just to a locked frame rate, but just say the game is producing 60 frames per second, G-Sync will anticipate that and exactly lock the refresh rate of the monitor to the game's frame rate up to, I guess, 165 hertz. It's pretty amazing. So that gives you a small glimpse, a small insight, if you didn't know, into monitor technology in this day and age for gaming. The monitor itself doesn't make any difference to the rendering quality of a video of a game that you see, that I produce, that I put up on YouTube. It only makes a difference to what I see. So in a sense, I've been going without myself for a long time, in part because it's no benefit to you, the viewer. It's only a benefit to me. But now that DCS is getting so awesome, and now that IL2 is continuing to get more and more awesome, like the graphics are getting seriously good, I figured it was time to indulge myself and to start seeing what I've been missing out on, which is that 165 hertz refresh rate, NVIDIA G-Sync, an IPS panel. Basically it's a panel that you can look at it from an angle and the image doesn't disappear, and it also has rich colours. There's another type of panel called a TN. It has less delay. It's, I think, faster than an IPS, but the colour's a bit washed out apparently. I think they're both good, but they're two different types of monitor technology. And it's a 27-inch monitor, so that's pretty exciting for me. I don't usually upgrade my technology, but sometimes you just gotta. I'm looking to broaden the appeal of the channel somewhat. I think it's necessary though, because this is a small channel. We ain't in PewDiePie territory, and I'd very much like to grow the channel tremendously. Don't know how realistic that is, given that allegedly flight sims are such a niche. World War II such a niche. I mean, everyone's playing Fortnite right now. I don't think I've never played it, I've just seen it on YouTube really. But it's obviously it's the flavour of the month or whatever. Yeah, how big can a flight sim channel get? Probably, who knows. But yeah, they are a niche. You have to be pretty passionately interested in a niche, any niche really, whether it's whatever it is, dirt biking or flight sims or hang gliding. This is genuinely a work of passion. It's something that I've done from the beginning without relying on the passion to wipe its own nose, so to speak. It doesn't pay for itself, I pay for it, but I do that because I'm very interested in it and it makes me feel good. I like making flight sim videos, and I think it's a sad irony that many of us get into this kind of stuff when we're young. You're 10 years old, you're 8 years old, and you see a flight sim and you go, man, I'd like to do that. So when you look at my channel, you're looking at the realised dream, of someone who for, I don't know, 2.5 decades has had a strong interest in flight sims, World War II mostly, but also other things too, like the jet era. And I'm very grateful for your support. So big thank you to the patrons of the Froggy Frog 9000 channel. And if you watch the channel and if you get some value out of it, I encourage you to, in some way, shape or form, support the channel. So far, the two main methods you can do that is through becoming a patron on Patreon, which is like a recurring monthly donation. It can be like, you know, $3, or it's unlimited, but doesn't have to be much. But also you can, if you're hip to the technology of cryptocurrency, you can donate through Bitcoin and that sort of thing. I also have t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, jumpers available for sale on my website, froggyfrog9000.com. They all have an aviation theme to them. Mostly profile art of a Mustang at this stage, but I'm going to expand that as my competency as an aircraft profile artist improves over time, and going to include many different aircraft there, from everything from the Kitty Hawk to the Zero to the B-29 Super Fortress to the you name it, the Gigant, the ME-323 Gigant. Any aircraft really can be put into t-shirt aircraft profile format. That's something I'm also passionate about. So to recap, I've purchased 2 new GPUs, and it's a bit of a risk when you purchase any GPU that it might not work, or it might not work sufficiently, or that you might not get the frame rate and the performance out of it that you were hoping for. There's so many variables, it's very complex, and it's hit and miss. It's got a huge element of uncertainty about it. For example, the same GPU might increase the frame rate of 2 different games differently. One of them might increase a bit and the other one might not increase at all. You might also have to use the software to turn off SLI and only use one of the GPUs for some games, because in SLI, in tandem, they actually experience a decrease in performance, a decrease in frame rate. So it's a science, and it's an art too, to getting GPUs to perform well with any given game. I think they work well with the games that I play, the flight sims, but only time will tell. I don't know of any other YouTuber who has such a hardcore rig as me now in relation to games like IL-2 and DCS. There's got to be some out there. I imagine the Grim Reapers have got pretty good setups for their DCS. I know of YouTubers that have got 1080 Ti's, like a single, but I don't know of any as such. Not to say that there aren't any, but I don't know of any that have 1080 Ti SLI, except for myself now. So we could be about to see some really awesome performance out of these games on my rig, or it might not work at all. So I haven't installed them yet. I'm still waiting for the bridge to arrive in the post, so I'm only going to use one at the moment until the bridge arrives. But the next vids that I make hopefully will be made using using a single 1080 Ti, and the glorious increase in frame rate and performance that accompanies that. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, donate, buy my stuff, etc. And thanks for listening to me ramble on today. And again, sorry that this Sunday vid was a day late. Try not to make that a recurring theme. Thanks for watching. Keep on watching throughout the week. There'll be at least one video every day, if not more. And I'll catch you next Sunday. Bye for now.